Most people fear being alone. They cling to shallow friendships, force meaningless connections, and waste time with people who drain them, all because they can't stand the thought of solitude. But here's the truth. Loneliness is not a curse. It's a gift. The world has conditioned you to believe that being alone is a failure, that having fewer friends means there's something wrong with you. But what if I told you that solitude is the gateway to power, that the men who have truly mastered life, the warriors, the thinkers, the legends, have all walked the path of isolation? If you're alone, it's time to stop feeling sorry for yourself and start understanding what this moment is teaching you. Because if you embrace it, you'll become stronger than 99% of the people around you. Here's why lack of friends unveils the very essence of Stoicism, and how you can use it to forge an unbreakable mindset. Lesson number 1. Shyness is a lie you sell yourself. Shyness isn't a personality trait, it's an invisible cage you've locked yourself in, mistaking it for comfort. It's not introversion, it's fear disguised as identity. A hesitation, a swallowed word, a moment of silence when you should have spoken. That's how shyness tightens its grip. But the Stoics understood that character isn't discovered, it's forged. They didn't find themselves, they built themselves, brick by brick, through deliberate action. Consider Marcus Aurelius, a man who bore the weight of an empire on his shoulders. He didn't have the luxury of self-doubt. He ruled not because he was fearless, but because he conquered fear daily. Imagine standing alone in a grand hall, thousands of eyes fixed on you waiting for a command. Would you crumble or would you speak? He spoke, he acted, he led, and so must you. You think your voice matters? Prove it. Walk into a room and take up space. Speak, even if your voice shakes. Let the awkwardness sting. Let their glances unsettle you. Then let the discomfort pass like a storm. If they laugh, let their laughter be the fire that hardens your resolve. If they doubt you, let their doubt fuel your determination. Fear withers in the face of action, and shyness, it burns to ash. Action step. Write down one sentence you've been too afraid to say. Say it aloud. Today. No waiting, no excuses. The world belongs to those who dare to speak. Lesson number 2. Lack of social opportunities. You cannot forge meaningful connections if you never step into the arenas where friendships are born. Relationships do not materialize out of thin air. They require presence, effort, and intention. If you isolate yourself, withdrawing from the world, and waiting for companionship to knock on your door, you are not a victim of circumstance. You are an architect of your own loneliness. A Stoic does not lament his solitude. He takes action. If the world does not offer him opportunities, he creates them. Ask yourself, when was the last time you truly opened yourself to new experiences? If your daily routine consists of work, home, and the same digital distractions, how can you expect to cultivate deep relationships? A stagnant life breeds isolation. The solution is movement, deliberate, purposeful engagement with the world around you. Seek out environments that attract like-minded individuals. Join a book club, a martial arts class, a public speaking group. Develop skills that naturally bring people into your orbit. Learn an instrument, volunteer. Explore a hobby that forces you out of your comfort zone. Genuine connections are not built solely on proximity, but on shared passions and values. A Stoic understands that friendships, like all things of worth, require effort. So ask yourself, are you truly alone, or have you simply chosen not to show up? Lesson number 3, trust is earned by the unyielding. You don't trust people? Good, you shouldn't. Trust isn't some freely given token. It's forged in the fire of consistency, integrity, and time. But here's the real question. Are you testing the strength of those around you? Or are you simply retreating into the shadows, wounded and wary, like a dog that's been kicked one too many times? Consider Epictetus. Born into slavery, he understood betrayal on a level most will never experience. He lived in a world where loyalty was often a facade, where a man's word could mean nothing unless it was backed by action. Yet he didn't close himself off to the world. He sharpened his mind, refined his discernment, and chose his confidants wisely. He once said, "First learn the meaning of what you say, and then speak." The same applies to trust. First, learn the nature of those around you. Watch how they act when there's nothing to gain. Do they speak of loyalty but vanish when tested? Do they promise much but deliver little? Trust isn't about blind optimism. It's about calculated risk. The world is full of those who will take what they can and leave you empty-handed. So test them. A small favor, a request, a moment of need. How do they respond? This isn't paranoia, it's wisdom. Observe, evaluate, and when someone proves unworthy, don't waste your breath. But remember, freezing out the world will never teach you who is worth keeping close. Action step. Ask one person for a favor today. Something small. Their reaction will tell you everything. Will they hesitate? Will they make excuses? Or will they step up without question? The answer will reveal more than their words ever could. Lesson number 4. Social skills are weapons, sharpen them. Think charm is just for influencers and smooth talkers? You couldn't be more mistaken. The ancient Stoics, philosophers, warriors, rulers, weren't just masters of thought, they were masters of speech. Marcus Aurelius commanded an empire not just with his sword but with his words. Epictetus, once a slave, used sheer eloquence to shape minds for generations. Your social awkwardness isn't a badge of honor. It's a self-imposed shackle. It's not quirky, it's an excuse. Awkwardness is unrefined potential, waiting to be sculpted. A Stoic does not stumble through conversation like a ship without a rudder. He steers it with intention. Study dialogue as if it were swordplay. Each word, a calculated strike. Hold eye contact like a warrior locking onto his opponent. Steady, unwavering. Command a room not with volume, but with presence. You want respect? Then speak like you deserve it. Own your silence. When you pause, let it be powerful, not uncertain. The right words at the right time can open doors, forge alliances, and even disarm an enemy. So here's your challenge. Compliment 3 strangers this week. No exceptions. Test your ability to connect. Watch how words, wielded well, can shift the energy of a moment. Social skills aren't accessories, they are weapons, and you are their wielder. Lesson number 5. Circumstances bow to discipline. Moved cities, lost a job, heartbroken. So what? Did the world promise you permanence? Heraclitus warned us, change is the only constant. Yet how often do we resist it, clinging to fleeting stability like a drowning man grasping at waves? The Stoic does not beg for calm waters, he learns to sail through the storm. Your environment shifts, adapt, fight, build again. When an earthquake reduces a city to rubble, the resilient do not mourn indefinitely. They rebuild, brick by brick. Your roots are not in the soil beneath your feet, but in the principles that guide you. A man who depends on circumstance for his strength is like a leaf in the wind, directionless, fragile, at the mercy of forces beyond his control. But a man anchored in discipline, he is unshaken. What are your non-negotiables? Your morning workout? Your nightly reading? The discipline to rise early, even when exhaustion begs you to stay in bed? Guard these like Sparta defended its gates. For when the world shifts beneath you, these are your fortress, your anchor, your proof that no storm, no change will ever break you. Lesson number 6. Shifting priorities. Not everyone is meant to walk beside you forever. Life is a river, ever moving, ever changing, and as you navigate its currents, some companions will drift away. What once felt like an unbreakable bond, late night, talks, shared ambitions, mutual struggles, may over time weaken as you evolve. Interests shift, values deepen, and priorities realign. A Stoic does not mourn this natural progression. He accepts it with grace. Consider the friendships of your youth, perhaps built on proximity rather than purpose. The friends you laughed with in school, the ones you swore would be in your life forever, may now feel like strangers. Why? Because growth creates distance, and stagnation does too. If you dedicate yourself to self-mastery while those around you remain complacent, an invisible gap will form. You will speak of discipline, wisdom, and purpose, while they remain trapped in cycles of distraction. You may feel the urge to hold on, to shrink yourself to fit their world, but ask yourself, at what cost? Letting go is not an act of cruelty, it is an act of clarity. Release resentment, release regret, elevate yourself, and those meant to walk your path will find you. True connection is not about clinging, it is about alignment. Lesson number 7. Mental health is a battleground, not an excuse. Anxiety, depression, I know their weight. The suffocating pressure in your chest, the late-night wars waged in your mind, the mornings when getting out of bed feels like dragging chains through wet sand. But listen closely. Stoicism isn't a passive remedy. It's not a comforting lullaby. It's a weapon, sharp, unyielding, forged in the fires of adversity. Marcus Aurelius didn't write meditations from a place of comfort. He penned his deepest reflections while Rome burned, while war loomed, while disease swept through his empire like a merciless tide. He didn't make excuses. He fortified his mind against the storm. Your mind is not a fragile thing. It is a fortress, but a fortress left untended crumbles. Train it, reinforce its walls, starve self-pity, feed it with discipline. Yes, therapy is a tool, a crucial one, but remember this. You are the general. No one else commands your army. No one else marches into battle for you. So take one negative thought, just one. Write it down, look at it, feel its weight, then destroy it, burn it, rip it, drown it, and in its place etch a Stoic mantra into your soul. The obstacle is the way. I am not what happens to me. I am how I respond. You are not broken. You are being forged. Fight for your mind. No one else will. Lesson number 8. Lifestyle choices. The life you live determines the relationships you cultivate. If your days are spent confined within 4 walls, eyes locked onto glowing screens, endlessly scrolling through digital illusions of connection, you are not just experiencing loneliness, you are choosing it. Stoicism demands that we take ownership of our reality, not as passive observers but as active participants. Do you long for deep, meaningful relationships? Then ask yourself, does your lifestyle invite them? You cannot forge bonds in isolation. Step outside, breathe in the crisp air of the real world. Seek out places where minds sharpen one another. Philosophy groups, fitness clubs, art workshops. Engage in activities that fuel your spirit. Hike a mountain, feel the wind carve its wisdom into your skin. Attend a seminar, let ideas collide, and reshape your thinking. When you align your actions with your values, the right people will be drawn to your energy. The friendships you seek will not appear by accident. They are reflections of the life you build. So what kind of life are you crafting? Lesson number 9. Differences and interests. Have you ever felt like an outsider, as if the world around you speaks a language you cannot understand? Sometimes you don't fit in, not because something is wrong with you, but because you were never meant to. Your values, your mindset, your aspirations, they are the brushstrokes of a masterpiece that doesn't belong in a gallery of the ordinary. Society often demands conformity, urging you to mold yourself into an acceptable shape, to speak, think, and act as others do. But a Stoic knows that diluting oneself for the sake of acceptance is the surest path to self-betrayal. Think of history's greatest minds. Socrates, who was condemned for questioning the norms of Athens. Marcus Aurelius, an emperor who ruled with philosophy rather than raw power. Or even modern visionaries who walked paths others feared to tread. They did not shrink themselves to fit the expectations of the crowd. If you feel disconnected from the masses, perhaps it is because you are meant to lead, not follow, to inspire, not to blend in. Instead of mourning your differences, embrace them. The right people, the ones who see beyond the surface, who value depth over decoration, will recognize your authenticity. And when they do, you will realize that the solitude of standing apart is nothing compared to the emptiness of losing yourself. Final thoughts. I don't care if you have 100 friends or none at all. That number is meaningless. What truly matters is this. Do you need them to feel whole, or do they need you because you are whole? There's a difference between a man who clings to companionship out of fear and one whose presence commands respect. Stoicism isn't about isolation. It's about resilience. It's about forging yourself into someone so unshakable that friendships become a choice, not a necessity. Think about it. Would you rather be the man desperately seeking validation, or the one others naturally gravitate toward for wisdom, strength, and stability? Brotherhood isn't given, it's earned, and it isn't earned by seeking, it's earned by becoming. Become the rock, the foundation, the presence that others respect but never pity. Build your mind, master your emotions, and sharpen your will to the point where the world no longer dictates your worth. Then, and only then, will you understand true power. If this message resonated with you, don't just walk away. Take action. Hit that like button, subscribe to Quotes and Relax 95, and commit to your path of mastery. Until next time, keep fortifying your mind, keep mastering yourself.